The community of welcoming congregations has grown from 34 primarily Portland metro congregations to over 100 congregations throughout the state and in Southwest Washington.
Hi, I'm Buckley Jeppson. I represent here Affirmation, Gay and Lesbian Mormons. There are just over 13 million Mormons in the world right now. Probably a third of them, I'm guessing, third to half of them are in the United States. The official church position is that if you're a gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender person, you are welcome in the church at any time in any church. And you hold lay positions in the church. You can do all of that as long as you're celibate. If you're not celibate, you're subject to church discipline, again based on the circumstances, and that is decided on the local level. Where the problem happens here is you're bound to be treated a little bit differently if you're gay and lesbian in New York City or San Francisco than you are if you're in Burley, Idaho. I'm sure all of you are aware of the issues in Proposition 8 in California. The Mormon Church came out strongly against it. The church was quite strongly against gay marriage and urged its members to campaign against it. It's estimated that about half of the money that was given and the door knocking came from the Mormons, from the individual Mormons in the state, which make up about 1.5% of the population of the state. As you can imagine, that's very hurtful for those of us who are Mormons. It's difficult on families, and I don't think the church was aware of what would happen when it put out its advice to people. They're still suffering for that, and my personal opinion is that you're probably not going to see anything that high profile in the future. I remain a strong Mormon. My congregation here in Portland, in Southeast Portland, is very welcoming. My bishop knows my situation and has been great, as have the other people in our congregation. I'm very happy to be here, and Affirmation is very happy to be a part of the community of welcoming congregations. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Genko, Rainwater, and I'm from Dharma Rain Zen Center in Southeast Portland. I've been reflecting a little bit on this question of things that may have changed over the last 10 years. When I and my partner joined Dharma Rain Zen Center 10 years ago, we were warmly welcomed. We were not by any means the only gay couple there, or the only gay people there. It didn't seem like, in fact, we were approached by someone who suggested that maybe it would be good to have a gay group. And we said, we don't need it. You know, we just didn't need it. We didn't feel that there was any problem at all. We just felt like we were part of the Sangha, and it was not an issue. A few years ago, I went to an ethics conference that was supposed to be just for social Zen, and then they opened it up to some other Buddhists. And at the end of that, a local Nichiren priest brought up the fact that we don't seem to have statements of welcoming statements, or statements of inclusivity, or whatever you call those things. Non-discrimination statements, something like that. And he pointed out that for a lot of gay people, the default assumption about religious organizations is that they are not going to welcome them, that they are going to be moralistic about it and say, you know, gay people are all perverse and we don't want them around and whatever. And that if you don't explicitly say, we welcome gay people, that there's going to be this assumption that I shouldn't go there because who knows what could happen. I grew up Protestant. I was going to go and be a member or a church worker. I wanted to do that right from the beginning. I knew that that's what I wanted to do. And I went to Bible college, and I got there, and it was like, uh-oh, I don't believe this stuff. Now what? And so I spent many years just kind of being pretty solitary until I found Buddhism, and then Buddhism actually, for whatever reason, fit for me. And so here I am, doing exactly what I always wanted to do when I was a kid, just in a little different context.
I'm Rabbi David Kaminsky. I think in some ways significantly different from some of the others you've heard from this morning. I am Jewish, which, as you said, means I'm trying to cover a lot of territory. I think about a generation younger, which means that I enter into this debate from a very different place, into the discussion from a very different place and a very different set of life experiences. And I'm heterosexual, which means I understand the issues not from as deep a soul place, perhaps, and more from social justice, more from perhaps the philosophical point, but not from the deep-lived emotional truth that comes from having lived it. To try and speak for the Jewish position on anything is to say I'm speaking for the American Protestant tradition. Right. We have everyone from the rabid fundamentalists to the Jewish equivalent of Unitarians. Our values are derived not just from Judaism, but also from the cultural values surrounding us, which means that in the Deep South, a conservative congregation is far less likely to be comfortable being a welcoming congregation than Neve Shalom in Southwest Portland. The Reconstructionist movement, of which I am a member, was the first to ordain openly gay and lesbian rabbis. 10 years ago, I was in the very fringe saying, no, we're not doing commitment ceremonies. I will do a wedding, but I won't do a commitment ceremony for a mixed-sex marriage. I won't do a commitment ceremony for a same-sex marriage. I do weddings. We need to start calling them weddings. We are moving at a tremendous rate. And in Judaism, that change is happening too. In Judaism, we're absolutely seeing it rolling right along with the society at large, which is great.
My name is Joy Wallace, and I'm speaking for the Catholic Church. Actually, I'm glad that I am last, and it seems appropriate that the panel is bracketed by the Mormons and the Catholics. You know already a lot about the Catholic Church. You know that we have a hierarchy that loves to tell us what to do. But I will also tell you that the Church of the People, which I belong to, has in some ways a mind of its own. And the Church in the United States, the Catholic Church in the United States, is also changing very rapidly. Well, I met Tara about 4 years ago. And after we chatted for a while and got to know each other, she said, Joy, I have a job for you. Would you be willing to kind of pull things together? So 3 years ago, I pulled together a group called the Catholic Coalition of Welcoming Parishes. I think this will be our 8th year of having a Catholic contingent in the Gay Pride Parade. And I'll tell you, it is the most important visible sign that we have that we are welcoming. Almost every new person that comes to St. Andrew who is a gay man or a lesbian, and we talk to them and find out that they're new to St. Andrew and they came because they saw us in the parade. I can't tell you that the hierarchy is changing. But I can tell you that people's hearts are changing, parishes are changing, people are changing, and I have great faith that it's going to have an impact someday on the hierarchy.